Let's go ahead and get this party started this morning. It's July 18th, 2024. Just about 4 minutes to go. Cash open here. It's Thursday morning. Some sell side activity, obviously, yesterday. And, it looked like things were going to bid back up. They were coming back. But it's getting what I would term funky here right into the open. So, nice. You're supposed to close your intraday trades by the end of the day. Okay. Well, here's the positive thing though. Jamesy, you made money. We'll cover that after. After. You close them right now. You made money. Come on, the Russell's down. Okay. You can't complain when you make money. So let's take a look around this morning, because what we saw yesterday is clearly some rotation out of big tech. Well, big tech, they're buying it, but I want to make a quick point. There's good volume in the pre-market specific to NVIDIA, right? When I say good volume, I'm talking about, stock volume. There is no other volume, right? Stock volume is good. There's no option volume. And that's exactly my point. We have no idea what the option market's going to look like when this bell goes off. One thing that has been of pretty critical importance, and that's this. The pre-market, and that is the futures contracts, have not done a wonderful job of dictating what the trading sessions are going to look like. So I want you to keep that in mind with 2 minutes to go to the cash open over here. Somebody was saying Costco. Yeah, the Costco one is close, not there yet. Anyway, so the SPOOs are up only 12 handles. The advanced decline line, it's going to be funky into this open. I just can't stress that enough. S&P futures are doing 220,000 contracts. That's not that heavy. As I was showing you, NVIDIA is the marketplace this morning. You can talk about Microsoft so you're blue in the face, but yeah, it's flat. You want to look at Apple, up nominally like a buck. Amazon, up nominally. Google, basically flat into the open. Meta has a big bid. I'll give you Meta. Meta has a big bid under it, but that has been following NVIDIA almost lockstep. And then, of course, Tesla, mild bid under Tesla. We're going to come into the cash open. The only thing on your screen that's really green and a flying is tech. Take a look at the financials. They're going to be offered mildly lower into the open. Taking a look at the energy sector, offered mildly lower, although the bid offer spread needs to widen here. You could drive a truck through it. We are going to have a discombobulated advanced decline line. Ticks are going to be completely sloptastic. I mean, ticks will be positive, but it's not going to matter. I mean, look, it's the order flow to NVIDIA that's going to set the tone for this marketplace today. It's got a bid back under it right now. And when I say a bid back, I'm talking just about the Nasdaq. I mean, obviously the S&Ps are basically flat into this open. Bonds are off. A lot of talk in ECB. They were talking tough in ECB, hawkish talk out of ECB. We'll look around after the open, but mark my words here, the order flow that shall play out in NVIDIA will be critically important here. Not sure anybody has the guts to come in here and start buying calls after sell side activity like that. So things may get a little crazy in this open. It's come to the bell this morning. As I was saying about the advanced decline line, discombobulated, kind of scattered and broken. Now you see what is a negative advanced decline line. How ironic that the marketplace is positive on that. Ticks, well, that's a surprise. Okay, that I did not expect. A negative tick out of the gate. I also expected, again, this advanced decline line to be a little bit better than it is. But you know what? Stuff that's even higher right now is it's relatively flat. So NVIDIA out of the gate, okay, starting off as the wild child with a pretty good range in the first couple seconds of trade. But we'll keep an eye on this. The funny thing is you don't even have to look at NVIDIA. You only really have to look at the Nasdaq futures, kind of get that feel in early trade. The financials, pretty good hit now in early trade, much lower than it was a few hours ago. As I said, the pre-market has not been good at handicapping trading sessions as of late. And that's because order flow is all about big tech. We're saying Microsoft basically flat into the open, nothing to see here. Apple, okay, saw some sell side activity into this. I cannot help, okay, but think, okay, push NVIDIA aside for a second. There's a lot of stocks, including Apple, that have had magnificent runs. The sell side activity make people a little bit nervous. They may come in and actually whack a few of these stocks this morning. That doesn't necessarily, okay, tell you what it's going to look like at the end of the day, but given the opportunity with a bid back under the marketplace, people look at this as, oh, it's going to be a dip buy. On the contrary, a lot of people saw yesterday and they think to themselves, holy crap, I've had huge gains. This is it for me. Meta, big move. Meta is exactly the reason that I'm mentioning kind of that psychology. Meta's off 15%, well, about 12% now, but Meta's was off 15% as of last night. Take a look at auto expected moves in Meta. Meta's literally off 15% in less than 2 weeks of trade. That is one, if not the hardest hit of any mega market cap. It actually is the largest in terms of a hit. And how I'm justifying 15% just from this recent high to that low amounts to a 15% hit. Obviously, having a little bit of a bid back under it. Okay, nothing to see here. Nevertheless, S&Ps. Okay, this morning the ticks are negative, which kind of caught me off guard into the open. Makes a degree of sense though now that I'm looking at financials are taking a little bit more of a hit. Energy, which opened relatively flat, just a little bit of sell side activity. You know, not a lot of surprises out of this morning. One notable aspect, yes, the volatility futures are down just a little bit, but it's pretty nominal. Like we saw some risk coming in late yesterday. Okay, pretty nominal. VIX is not moving. The volatility is a little bit alarming. You know, this marketplace is definitely on edge. Otherwise, I think you would see an immediate hit in volatility, and it's just not happening. So the Nasdaq, and more specifically NVIDIA, okay, is really the only thing standing between you and the abyss once again. So obviously, at some point, you know, everybody tuned in probably yesterday, saw the Nasdaq down anywhere from 550 at one point. The absolute lows, the Nasdaq was off by 600 handles. It did actually cross through the 20,000 level. That's okay. I mean, look, it hit in the aftermarket yesterday exactly a 3% move, but that was right. That was down here in this neighborhood. A little bit of a bounce back. Well, it is a little bit of a bounce back because we're up only about 0.5% right now. So if this is the rally you're looking for, it's not materializing just yet. Okay, I don't want to scream like there's heavy selling coming in because there's simply not. There is a little bit of sell side activity starting to kind of bleed through, and you can see it clearly in Meta. That could be erased like that. Like 1 minute, this thing could actually bid back up. Okay, but I can't say that I am at all surprised at some of the price action that you're seeing right now. I think some people might want to get out of positions. Again, having seen yesterday was a little scary. And yesterday was almost all driven by options activity. Okay. It's, you know, after you get a pretty good size sell off, especially one that's driven by options activity, it's only after that that people start to step to the plate and go like, wow, maybe I should actually bail out. That's, you know, sometimes fund managers, people on the retail side of the business. Meanwhile, option activity, let's look at Meta. on the bottom of your screen over here, there's nothing going on. Okay. Mild call buying. That is by no means the kind of bullish call buying that we have seen. Again, it doesn't, indicate that they're not going to come rushing this marketplace any minute, right? A lot of people might be sitting on the sidelines. Moreover, if you take a look at Nvidia, the beast, there's absolutely no call buying in here that would justify the stock being up $3, which implies that bounce that happened in overnight trade is just kind of holding there. The options order flow will dictate from here on out. We'll see if any more sellers start coming back in here. But again, kind of a little bit more of a quiet cash open. Before the open, things were getting all kinds of funky. The one real mover on the screen right now, no question, the Russell has a little bit of a bid back under it. Now, I know that looks wild. It's not. I mean, you want to see wild. Look at the Russell over the last, few days in here. Okay, that's wild. So the Russell rallied a little bit on the bell. Now, bear with me on this thought. If the Russell is rallying, that means financials are coming back up a little bit, right? Maybe see a little bit of a bid back under the energy sector, which we are, okay? Which would also imply we might be rotating again out of technology. That means the advanced decline line may be getting a little bit better, which it did. So this was 70-30 into the open. It's more, reasonable. So here we go once again. The rotation game is underway as tech. Nobody likes me. Look at this. A little sell side activity in the first 8 minutes of trade, but not exactly getting it done. Speaking of 8 minutes of trade, watch this because as the Nasdaq is coming down, okay, the S&Ps are coming back a little bit. The rotation right now, again, it's big, it's fierce. It looks a lot like it did yesterday at portions of it. All right. Just looking down a couple of the financials. Quick glance at some of the financials. So the VVIX, excuse me, the VVIX is dropping a little bit. Volatility in the 9-day, dropping mildly, but still elevated on the trading session. The S&Ps, okay, you see them coming back and they're ripping back right now. Here's the tough thing. As the S&Ps are coming back, and again, I just want to make sure that we're all set up for what we might see in a moment. As the S&Ps are coming back, the ticks are getting stronger. This was like a negative 600 tick a few minutes ago. At the same time that's occurring, though, kind of knocked the Nasdaq, not by much, but it knocked the Nasdaq down a little bit. The question, okay, and the only poignant question here is if the S&Ps are going to rip back, does that mean we're going to lose the Nasdaq? And it's a valid question because Microsoft is negative. Everything else is just kind of waffling right now, back and forth, only up some 2.5%. Again, Nvidia had already hit 122 to 121 right now. Doesn't mean much, okay? But markets are a little sketchy here early on. And as much as we want to sit here and say, like, no, don't worry, Don, they're going to come back. Remember, the positive advanced decline line yesterday, and this is getting more positive, a positive advanced decline line yesterday was the unwind of the marketplace as traders were rotating out of big tech into anything and everything but big tech. So as the advanced decline line gets better this morning, fell back a little bit, but if it gets better this morning, as crazy as it sounds, that means tech could come off. Speaking of tech coming off, here we go with Nvidia, just broke a little lower, obviously taking the Nasdaq down. By the way, the Nasdaq now, again, you see it up 0.4%. It's pretty nominal moves. This is a session you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to sit here. Okay. Let's Let's take a quick glance. Russell, big bid back under it. All right. Again, in my opinion, that means trade is just buying crap. So all the way to the bottom of my screen, I talk about like buying crap. Okay. KRE is basically flat at this point. Right. This has been one of the big drivers specific to the Russell. XLK. So obviously it's just tech, tech semiconductors is up 1% right now. This is SMH. Nothing else that's a real standout. Everything else, as I said, it's kind of waffling back and forth. A lot of the move today, is largely predicated on Taiwan Semiconductor. I'll remind each and every one of you that Taiwan Semiconductor got smashed in yesterday's trade, falling from basically 185, okay, all the way down to the 170 level. Yesterday, okay, was news related. Today is earnings related. Now, Taiwan Semiconductor is worth watching because the stock is only up right now 1.3% on what amounted to stellar numbers. That might even be more pivotal than NVIDIA right now. This is your AI trade. Okay, obviously, for those of you that are not aware, Taiwan Semiconductors, who actually manufactures crap for NVIDIA. When I say crap, I mean compute. They're actually manufacturing GPUs specifically for NVIDIA. The stock had strong numbers and is falling right now considerably from where its highs were. Again, to bring this into scope a little bit better, be worth looking at some of the option order flow. And not a lot going on in here. It's heavy for Taiwan Semiconductor, but I am surprised to see this this falling right now. That falls, there's no question. NVIDIA is going to come with it because that is the news that actually caused the rally. Specifically, Taiwan Semiconductor, its news caused the rally back. That is not a rally right now, people. As I often say, there's times where sit on your hands off the mouse, and let this kind of play out, because in this cash open, the bell goes off right here. There's no entry point in here. I mean, it's been pretty much straight down inside of the Nasdaq. I'm not convinced. By the way, I'm not convinced we're just going to sell off into the sunset. Sell off into the sunset. Sail off into the sunset. Sell off into the sunset. Screw it. Both of them are pretty good. Nevertheless, you could see within minutes here, the Nasdaq actually completely flip over. What is actually holding better than anticipated would be Meta. This could play catch up, if you will, to the downside. I am not entering. I am not entering any short duration positions as of yet. For those of you that were in the IWM position yesterday, we did well in that one. Okay. For those of you, again, if you're in the IWM position, I opened here at a $1.59. What's funny is when we were talking about this yesterday, we were literally using $1.60 and the possibility of getting out for $3.60. So I got in at $1.59 yesterday and exited for $3.60. So this decent, but not exactly hitting the cover off the ball. I'm not, I'm not perturbed about it. It's profitability. It's what almost to the penny what we theorized earlier in the trading session if it was to reverse. And that's why I keep doing trades like this. It's not there though for me today. I mean, there might be at some point, but it's just not there for me at this early point in the trade. So questions on that one, comments? Anybody get a fill better than 360? I think I only saw a trade 365. That's about the best that I saw. When I say the best that I saw, I mean, I was sitting there watching, trade go through, and I just offered 360 and just sat there. Okay. And mine filled. Oh, here, you can take a quick glance. Mine filled basically 5 minutes before the close. Remember, than in many of your ETF products, just ETF products, that the options are open 15 minutes after the cash close. Okay. And that's also, it's important because even though I got out 5 minutes to the bell, okay, I absolutely could have held this trade a bit longer. When I say 5 minutes to the closing bell, so I got out right in this neighborhood here. All right, did I hit the absolute low? Well, no. Again, I saw I think a 365 actually trade through. All right, I want to know which one of you was it was. Somebody in here got 365 on that one, but again, it's one of the reasons that I often state holding trades very close to the closing bell. All right, so Nasdaq. Nasdaq has been sold since the cash open. Now, time out for a second. Okay, this could bid back up in our face. There's no question about it. You know, there's days you come in here where you got a pretty good feel for order flow. Let me just tell you, okay, I don't mean to disparage anybody. You don't have a feel for this order flow. I'm not trying to be disparaging. There's no feel for the day after a big sell-off. The day after a big sell-off, you sit back and, well, look, we just sold off. I just want to make a quick point. We sold off, but you know what didn't move? Volatility didn't really make a move. So for what it's worth, I can't take a deep breath today. For what it's worth, the sell side activity in here means very little at this point. Okay. And it makes sense that volatility is not moving just yet. Okay. Because the S&Ps are still, positive on the day. This is one of these trading sessions where you can look at the ticks all you want. And they flipped over, they're positive again. You look at the advanced decline lines getting better. Okay. Wait, if it's getting better, maybe they're rotating out of tech, which sure as hell they are. Okay. Remember the stock Apple that was, up a little bit? Well, now I'd rather look at Microsoft. That's actually going to start to move markets, no question about it. Like Microsoft, it's rough right out of the gate. Nvidia, which is supposed to hold the whole entire thing together, okay, it's still up, and it is the only reason. I mean, literally the only reason that the Nasdaq is positive. I know you're going to point out, but what about Meta? Believe me, if Nvidia sells off, Meta's going too. So it's not really, I mean, Meta's not really holding anything together per se. Nvidia is. That's all you got. That's all you got here. And the rotations still relatively wild. Okay, so we are most definitely selling into this open to some degree. Bear with me. I have to log back into this thing. That's why I'm not updating. I'm okay to go. Oh. How interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking around right now. Bear with me for a moment as I try to get a little bit of bearings in the overall marketplace. I'm kind of sitting here and reading Skype out of the corner of my eye, and there's some real really funky weakness in a couple of different areas that I wouldn't have expected. But early on, okay, right now it's Microsoft versus Nvidia to some degree in big tech, but tech's not bleeding out. But again, what I'm actually contemplating here is if there's going to be a huge, okay, and ripping move back. That is, I just don't like this trade. Like, look, we're already up 71. I kind of already know what the expected move is inside of NASDAQ. Like buying a call here, I just want to make a quick point with this because I'm sitting here contemplating I could buy a call because it looks like we're going to rip back. But in doing so, the problem you've got this morning is the Qs. Okay, and this is a problem. Qs are trading at like a 40 vol. It's like a $4 expected move for today. That's a big boy move. Now, the Qs have already moved half of that. So if you bought a call, like an at the money call, it's already trading for like $1.80. The risk reward here sucks, because if you go in the money, you're like let's say it moves another $2 higher, it's not worth it. You're only going to make a buck for like a $2 move, and vol's going to crush, and you're going to lose a little bit more time out of this. The trade sucks. Okay, there's just no way I can't buy a call into this. It wouldn't work. And even buying a put right now, the risk reward is viable, but the implied volatilities today are high. Like, that's the one thing I'm looking at over here, and I'm chatting off the side of my screen with a buddy of mine. The implied volatility is really high. I mean, 40%. Now, granted, that's only to the end of the trading session, but vol really picked up on an intraday basis. Like, this marketplace, if you take a look, this is now spiders. Okay, so let's just close that up and kind of rationalize what you're seeing on the screen right now. The spiders, okay, yeah, they have like a 23 vol. It's almost a $3 move, which is crazy because the whole week was looking, well, let's spider convert this. The whole week was looking for like a $6.30 move. Almost 3 of that is just packed in to the remainder of this trading session. So you can see how much that short-term volatility has kind of elevated in here. It's again, hands off the mouse for just a moment. Okay. That's not beneficial if you're going to trade 0 DTE on the buy side. Moreover, though, I wouldn't jump in here and try to sell them either, because there's just pretty extraordinary amounts of risk. But let's go look NVIDIA. Look at this. It's options that expire tomorrow. Still pricing in pretty extraordinary risk. So that has picked up people a lot. And Meta is still kind of stuck in its opening range. So, well, this is not the marketplace I think anybody was looking for, but it's the marketplace you're going to get. Okay. Might I suggest this thing is not going to be flat like it is. And by the way, this is now completely flat. I don't care. Like, oh, it was look, oh, it's up 45. That's 0.2%. It's flat. Okay. There's no reading right now. Okay. Volatilities after yesterday's sell side activity should be down a lot more, but they're not. So we're still packing in the idea of a lot of risk. So a couple things this morning, because Tony Rago typically comes in here, but I'm going to go through a couple of trade ideas. Number one, ECB, the European Central Bank, had an announcement this morning. They are not changing rates. So no change in rates at the ECB. The notes out of the ECB, at least from my perspective, the note out of the ECB was very hawkish, that they stand ready to continue to fight inflation and hold rates higher, okay, for as long as possible. So if anybody read it differently than that, by all means, please tell me, because all I do is, I just read through what was in here. Like, I don't try to sit there. I don't listen to like Christine Lagarde, okay, mainly because I really think that she should be in jail, but that's a whole different story. Decision was unanimous, okay? We determined to do absolutely nothing. That's a unanimous decision. Christine Lagarde, by the way, is speaking this morning. That's why there's notes on here. I think she's probably long since done. But the announcement came out this morning. The statement, in my opinion, was very hawkish, very, very hawkish, which implies like they're going to keep rates higher for longer. Whatever, push it aside. The next thing on here, okay, Netflix. Netflix has earnings tonight. Okay, this is one of the first of the, I'd say big tech stock, but one of the first of the more pivotal companies that are going to have earnings. Obviously, you hear from, some of the banks, some of the airlines. Nobody gives a crap about that anymore. like JP Morgan. The only thing I'm interested in JP Morgan, you imagine Jamie Dimon running the treasury. I'm sorry, does that scare the hell out of anybody else? Okay. It's like the mafia running like, the treasury. Eh? Eh? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's real. That's real. Jamie Dimon running the treasury. Okay. They say if you live long enough, okay, well, you'll see Jamie Dimon running the treasury. Maybe I don't make it. Maybe I don't make it to that point. Maybe it's good that I don't. First, we see Janet Yellen running the treasury. Then we're gonna have like Jamie Dimon running the treasury. Yeah, I don't even care. Like, who's gonna run then? J.P. Morgan, huh? Who's gonna run J.P. Morgan? Now that could be a great short. Short J.P. Morgan if Jamie Dimon leaves. Okay. Did I mention that mafia thing? Maybe. All right. Okay. The foxes in the hen house. Dimitri, man, where the hell you been living? Where you been living? Okay. The hen house has been owned by foxes for years, sir. For years. Continuing on over here. So the S&Ps are picking back up a little bit. So Netflix has earnings tonight. The last yesterday, this thing had about a $55 expected move. The expected move is picked up. This, for me, excuse me, I can't take a deep breath today. Okay, fur balls, I tell you. For me, this is not an expected move butterfly. For me, Netflix is a pure directional bias trade. I think that the butterfly is hard because it's a $650 product. It's like hitting the broadside of a barn, okay? Like, and just impossible. I almost said something like really, really messed up there, but I'm gonna can't make any barn references right now. You can't say anything like 150 yards. You can't do that because it's all wrong. But the point I'm trying to make, hitting a butterfly on here, okay, is extraordinarily hard. I can't. Every ounce of me, okay, wants to, yeah. All right, we'll leave that relationship alone. In Netflix, what I am thinking, I believe Netflix subscriber growth, and I'm just going to give you my feeling on here. I think subscriber growth is totally and completely priced into this marketplace. And the last earnings, sold off. It has had a pretty strong bid back. I might take a bearish position, but the bearish position I'm going to use, it would be just an out of the money, again, an out of the money spread in here. Again, I just don't think I can hit the butterfly, but it's a $650 product with a $50 expected move. Like the out of the money spread could be like the 610, 605, but it's still going to cost you like $1.43. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one to later in the day. If I do the trade, I will let you know. Why not do it now? Because it's kind of early. If this market explodes back higher, okay, you're not going to love that trade in there. All right, so push that one aside for right now. The last 90 minutes of today's trading session, I would let you know about that trade. I did put on a Goldman Sachs trade yesterday. Okay. Now in the Goldman Sachs trade, you kind of had to get into this yesterday. What the hell is it? Okay. You kind of had to get into this yesterday. We're up a little bit today. It's up about 14%. But remember, if I were to hit 30% gain in the first 3 days, and this is basically the trade date plus 3, okay, I call it T plus 3, but in this case, if I were to hit a 30% gain today, I would just take it back off. A lot of you did, in fact, get into the position because I was watching yesterday some of the volume, some of the open interest. You can see 1,000 contracts traded. Our normal size is more like 3,000 to 5,000 contracts, but this is a $5 wide spread. So the contract size should be considerably less, and it is. And I appreciate that for those of you that understand the dynamics of sizing your position. The only other one that I've got on right now is Costco. Costco is still in the money. Let me knock down the number of strikes. It's in the money. This trade has just been flirting near like 30, 35, 40%, but it has not hit, okay, its full 55% gain. And I'm working in order to exit that one. We'll see. Just leave it alone. It's okay, right? Again, today's trading session, I'm going to bring on Tony Rago momentarily. Today's trading session, right? It's going to be edgy, in my opinion, throughout the course of the day. My opinion, though, is largely based on some of the implied volatilities. They're not dipping. Now, again, I always try to reiterate this. Stop looking at VIX and start looking at vol futures. These vol futures are a tangible, tradable product. It's /VX. It's on Tasty as well. Believe me, my stuff is set up the exact same way, okay? Start looking at the volatility futures, because if there's going to be a rip and rally and that the rally is going to grip hold, the vol futures will come off and they will stay off. We haven't had a lot of risk lately. And the fact that we haven't had a lot of risk lately, meaning like volatility has been low, because of that, any sell side or any uncertainty, okay, is going to be worn like a badge of honor, specifically to the vol futures. So any real movement of those S&Ps, you're going to feel constantly in those volatility futures. So NVIDIA was the stock to watch this morning. It faded, but it's still up almost 2%. Meanwhile, you're getting hit hard in Microsoft. Microsoft is starting to get noticeable. It's outside its expected move. You're getting hit now in Apple. Apple heading towards, excuse me, the lower edge of its expected move. Okay. Last thing I want to mention, then I'm bringing on the Rago. Okay. Here we are in SPX terms. What have we done on the week? All that sell side activity yesterday did nothing. Okay. The sell side activity, not because we're bid back up, all the sell side activity did, okay, was revert us back to where we were last Thursday and Friday. There is one key level. If we start to sell off today, which I actually think we might at some points today see some sell side activity, put a little fear into you. There is one level though to watch for today. Okay. 56.32. 56.32. Somewhere in that neighborhood holds tremendous weight in this marketplace. We have touched down to it a number of times, okay, for big key reactionary lows. So we have moderated at that level, okay? Remember it, again, 56.32 inside of these S&Ps. Right now, we're bid back, okay? We'll see. We'll see if this actually comes to fruition as the day progresses. Stay tuned. It's Thursday. Tony Rago is coming on right now.